everybody, and welcome back to the cooking show. Welcome back to the cooking stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Sunday. If you're watching this live, it is currently February 2nd, our first stream in February. It is 5:15 p.m. EST, and I want to just say hello to all of my lovely sous chefs. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. I apologize for the lateness today. I was running late on a couple of things. I was just getting a bunch of stuff done, and I ended up losing track of time today. Listen, Ryan, thank you so much for the Prime sub, and we're already opening off of the hype train. Thank you guys. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. Kiritsu, welcome on in. Hello to Shark Dog. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom. Hello to Eskia. Hello to Listen, Ryan. Hello to Yoon. It is awesome to have all of you. I'm really excited about today's stream. Today is going to be really, really simple, relatively speaking. We're going to be doing a dish that I love, and we're going to be doing a dish that I think is incredibly suited to the home setting in terms of getting a lot of flavor, in terms of getting a lot of really, really cheap ingredients together and making it really special, in regards to just the amount of equipment that is used or the lack thereof. This is, in my opinion, one of the best dishes that you can do at home. And that, my friends, is of course Kimchi Jjigae. Jjigae is a Korean stew. It is a spicy stew with things like gochujang and gochugaru. Mark Wilson Hanlon, welcome on in, and thank you so much for the 100 bits as well. I think, quite frankly, everybody should be doing jjigae at home. Jjigae is one of those things that honestly anybody can love, so as long as you're able to eat food that's a little bit spicy. And there's plenty of variations of jjigae that aren't actually all that spicy either. The amount of gochujang and the amount of gochugaru that you use are totally up to you. Another reason why I think this is something that is so well suited to the home setting. Also, DK, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you. Another reason why I think this is so well suited for the home setting is because, guys, going out for Korean food is so expensive. I'm talking $20 bowls. I'm talking $25 plates. This is one of those dishes that is essentially just a big collection of a bunch of staples. It has chili paste, it has pepper flakes, it has tofu, it has kimchi in it, and then most typically it's made with an anchovy broth. These are all really, really, really cheap staples that you could buy just about anywhere or in just about any Asian grocery store, and yet going out for Korean food can be so expensive. Okay, Ski, I'm glad that you like the lighting. I've been trying very hard to make the setup a little bit better in terms of the lighting, so I appreciate it. So that's why we're going to be doing some jjigae today, and then we'll also talk about sort of the structure of how people eat Korean food, which is you essentially have a main dish. You have a little collection of little side dishes called banchan. In my case today, we'll just be doing a sweet potato banchan, like a little sweet potato soy sauce stew. I just wanted something sweet, I wanted something a little bit rich, and then everything is of course eaten over a bowl of rice. Now, for today, everybody, I wanted to have a beef stock that was already prepared. However, I was not able to actually get it done in time. So my beef stock might be a little bit underdone. Anything for the camera, of course. A little bit of camera magic goes a very long way. But all I did was I had some beef neck, I had some beef bones. You can do any sort of beef bone that you would like. You can do shanks, you can do beef neck bones, you can even do oxtail if you'd like to spend a lot of money. But any collection of beef bones, I put a little bit of oil on it, 450 degrees in the oven for about 45 minutes, and then I put it into a pot with some onions and bay leaves, pressure cooker, ideally 2.5 hours. In my case today, I think I'm only going to be able to do this for about an hour. So, Hot Sauce Jr., you asked me, would this be good with veggie broth, chef? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Jjigae is one of those things where you are welcome to mix and match the ingredients as much as you please. Because guys, guess what? It's a stew. At the end of the day, stews are meant to accommodate people. It's meant to use up the kinds of things that you already have at home. As long as you really kind of keep up the core essence of the flavors that you have going on, a veggie broth is an excellent idea. Hot Sauce Jr., consider doing a mushroom variation. Do a collection of different dried mushrooms, do a little bit of bay leaf inside of there, do a little bit of, some of the kelp inside of there, and I promise you, you will have a really lovely, beautiful stock. Okay, so before we begin, let's go ahead and walk through all of the different ingredients that we have for today's jjigae. So as I discussed before, I already have my beef bones inside of the pressure cooker. It's going. I would have loved to show you guys the process, but I needed beef stock done in time for today, so that's not going to happen. For a kimchi jjigae, you are of course going to need some kimchi. Now, I'm just using this jarred store-bought kimchi. I would love to be able to use my own homemade kimchi one day. I think that would make for a very fun stream if we were to ferment our own kimchi, because jarred kimchi is actually not the cheapest. This is like $7 for a jar. And we're going to need maybe like 3/4 of a pound of kimchi, my friends. It's going to be a lot of kimchi. It's going to be super delicious. It's going to be super tasty, but we want to be really, really generous with the stuff, because this is going to be one of the essential flavors and one of the essential textures inside of the jjigae for today. So we're going to do a lot of kimchi inside of it. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Next, 2 essential Korean staples, my friends. There is no such thing as Korean food without gochugaru and gochujang. Gochugaru is a Korean red pepper flake, and gochujang is a Korean red pepper paste. You see these 2 ingredients be used all over the place in Korean food. If you want to get started cooking Korean food at home and you don't have the pantry staples, these are the 2 things that you need to have on top of something called doenjang, which is a Korean soybean paste very similar to miso. Miso and doenjang can be interchangeable in a pinch, although they're a little bit different. But everybody, a little bit of gochujang and a little bit of gochugaru. They're super delicious, and they're going to give our jjigae a lot of flavor. I'll go ahead and put that down behind me. Next, I'm going to be using about a half a block of medium firm tofu. Although, guys, I'm going to be honest, you could do any sort of texture of tofu for this that you prefer. A very common variation of jjigae is sundubu jjigae, which uses a soft silken tofu. In my case today, guys, I'm just going to be using a medium firm tofu, but you're welcome to use a soft tofu. You're welcome to use an extra firm tofu, because remember, the way that you make your jjigae is entirely and totally up to you. It is a stew. You are allowed to pick the kinds of things that you like eating. I'll go ahead and put that down. Next, of course, guys, there is no such thing as Korean food without loads and loads of scallions. Now, I only had 3 scallions for today. I would have ideally had a little bit more, but these will just have to do. And then, of course, we will be including a good amount of garlic. And then for the sweet potatoes, I'm going to be doing some garlic as well as some ginger. Okay, I'll put that down. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on going. So for the sweet potato stew, my friends, I have these 2 massive sweet potatoes, and all that we're going to do with them is we're going to peel them, we're going to cut them up, we're going to braise them in a little bit of soy sauce, and then hopefully the sweet potatoes will have enough sugar in them to make the sauce nice and sweet as well. For the jjigae, we're also going to be using 2 whole onions. These are smaller onions, or just 1 really, really large onion, and that is going to be the main vegetable of the stew itself. Now, I'll put that down. Next, for the sweet potato stew, as well as for the jjigae, we're going to be doing a little bit of sesame oil just for some nuttiness, just to really, really enhance the taste, and then a bunch of sesame seeds will be going into the sweet potato stew. Okay, I'll put that down. And then for the sweet potato stew, there is a type of Korean soy sauce that I believe is made with a little bit of wheat inside of it. Although, guys, honestly, soy sauces are one of those things that are once again interchangeable. I have 2 Chinese soy sauces. This is a dark soy sauce and a light soy sauce. So I'll be using some combination of both of these to be able to braise the sweet potato inside of it. I'll put that away. And then, everybody, last but not least, you cannot have 2 rich stews without a whole bunch of rice. So I'm going to be preparing some rice. This is rice that I've already washed and rinsed and dried off. And I'll just be walking you through how to perfectly prepare some rice on the stovetop each and every single time. So that's what we got going on today. If everybody is ready, I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. We have 3 components in total. We have to make the jjigae, we have to make the sweet potato stew, and then we also have to make the rice, as well as all the vegetable prep that's going to go alongside it. It's lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. I'm really, really excited about today's show, and I'm going to go ahead and have a little sip of water before we begin. So, everybody, a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, upcoming in February, a couple of my stream dates are going to change. The Brawlhalla esports season has started back up, which means that I'm going to be doing some commentary work. So keep your, eyes posted. Keep posted in my Discord. Keep your eyes on the Discord, join the Discord, and there it'll have like all of my new schedules and stuff for some of the days that we'll be swapping around in February. But for next week and the week afterwards, we should be okay to stay on the Sundays. Okay, keep your eyes peeled. Thank you, Shai Chica, you got me. Okay, next, Everybody, if you have any cooking questions at any point in time, please remember that you are always welcome and encouraged to ask me. There is no such thing as a beginner question. There is no such thing as a question that is too advanced, because remember, my goal is to help you guys learn how to cook at home and get really, really comfortable in this environment. So there's no such thing as a bad cooking question here, and do not feel shy about it at all. And then the third thing, everybody, finally, please, please, please check out my Patreon if you haven't already done so. The Patreon is a very nice way to directly financially support the show. I'm buying ingredients, I'm trying to upgrade the equipment, I'm trying to upgrade the camera quality always, and so any and all support to the Patreon will be really, really appreciated. There is a Patreon exclusive Discord. We also have a public community Discord if you'd like to join that, but you can type an exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. Okay, so we have to begin with all of my vegetable prep. I'm essentially going to be buying time for the beef stock to cook as long as possible. At the moment, it has already gone for only about 6 minutes, and I needed to go on for a minimum of an hour. So we gotta prep the sweet potatoes, we gotta prep the vegetables, we gotta prep the scallions, we gotta do it all, my friends. So with that being said, without further ado, I think it's time for us to begin. As always, I have my cutting board set up, I have it all ready to go. And to stop my cutting board from sliding around, one of my favorite bits of advice that I like to reiterate from time to time, okay, a nice damp paper towel, a nice damp towel underneath. It just makes the cutting board adhere, and it stops it from slipping and sliding whenever you cut on it. So, always a really, really important recommendation that I like to get out of the way. So, for the jjigae itself, everybody, I have a couple of onions. And honestly, for the jjigae, it really doesn't matter the way that you cut the onions. It is entirely your preference. This is a stew. It's a very rustic stew. If you want to dice it, you're more than welcome to. In my case, I'm just going to be slicing it lengthwise. And so to get my onions ready for such a preparation, we're going to be starting off by cutting off both the tops and the bottoms of my lovely onions. And let's discard that and throw that into my trash bowl. Slice off the tops and the bottoms. And then we're just going to slice these bad boys in half lengthwise and give them each a peel. Let's get all of that onion skin out of here that we have absolutely no use for inside of my jjigae. Get them gone, get them done with. Excellent. And so guys, once again, for the jjigae, you're welcome to just simply think about the onion texture that you think is ideal. I'm just going to be going for like a pseudo julienne of an onion. So I have all of this onion skin on my cutting board that I would really love to get rid of. Also, as you guys may have noticed, I have yet to get a haircut once again. One of these days I will. I just don't really like paying for haircuts. You know, there was a point on Twitter. There was a point in time on Twitter where I could say, oh, tee-hee, I want to get my hair cut. And it was like during like COVID, and everybody had like their stimulus checks, and everybody would give me like $100 on Venmo saying, oh, Daramgar, go get your hair cut or something. And it was amazing. But now that I have to do with my own adult money, I am putting it off until the very last moment. So, could there be perhaps some use for onion skin? Asks Shark Dog. That's a really, really good question. And so the answer is yes, there is. The onion skin, while it doesn't actually provide that much flavor, it does stain a broth really, really beautifully. It gives it like a slightly darker, slightly more golden color. So if you would like, I would thoroughly, thoroughly wash these onion skins. I would thoroughly wash all of these peels and then include them in your next veggie broth inside of your next veggie stock. Because of how often I'm really doing stocks, honestly, I always have a surplus of vegetable scraps, and so I'm totally personally fine with throwing them away. But if you don't want to throw them away, if you want to really maximize your efficiency in the kitchen, then you are welcome to include them into any stock that you have in the future. It's a very nice, resourceful way. Otherwise, another thing that people do is they do like a charred onion powder. So if you have access to like a live fire, you would like turn it into ashes, or maybe put into a dehydrator and then blend it up into a really, really fine powder. And so that's like a slightly more restaurant-y thing, and it's not like a very efficient use of onion peels, but if you really want to, that is also a thing that is sometimes done in big kitchens. Okay, so definitely an option for you. So Shark Dog, I hope that has helped answer your question. And before we continue, I'm just gonna make sure that I have a place to put in all of my onions after I slice them. Also, welcome on in Bipolar Island. It is lovely to have you. So we're going to do a nice little claw grip, my friends. So thumb at the base of the onion itself, pinky holding the edge of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and just slice it. And I'm not looking for super thin slices because I'm not really looking for the onion to completely fall apart inside of the jjigae. I want to have a nice medium thick slice, so something like this. And let's scoop it up and get it out of here and into my bowl. Wow, I've never heard of charred onion powder, but it sounds so good. It is good. It's just like a very nice little fancy garnish that you can do on salad sometimes. And in fact, we could probably put these directly into the pot. Another thing that I didn't really mention about jjigae, my friends, is that this dish doesn't necessarily require any sort of sautéing. It is a stew through and through. And you might go, oh, but that's just boiled onions, it's just boiled kimchi. Daramgar, that doesn't actually sound all that pleasant. Let me tell you, it is incredibly, incredibly pleasant. Let me tell you, it is super, super delicious. This is the kind of a dish, guys, that just takes no effort at all. If you already have the stock made, it takes a maximum of 30 minutes from start to end, okay? But I'm just really showing down and showing you the whole process. It's gonna be really, really drawn out, but if you're locked in, everybody, let me tell you, this is one of the simplest and yet the most flavorful and impressive thing that you could possibly do in a home setting. So, onions, just getting them nicely sliced for today. Getting them sliced, flipping it over whenever it feels unstable. There you go. And all of that will simply go directly into my bowl. And so, just as a proof of concept, guys, again, there really is no need to saute any of this. There is no need to do a super ridiculous amount of prep. I'm just gonna go ahead and add that directly into my pot that I'll be making the jjigae in, which will be my gorgeous Dutch oven, my gorgeous Le Creuset. May I ask what cut of beef you're going to use? Really good question, Simulator. And the answer is I'm just using beef neck. I'm not actually going to include chunks of beef inside of the jjigae out of personal preference. And let me explain to you guys why. I've already done quite a few jjigaes in my time. I've done quite a few different ones. And each time, I've actually realized that I've never really enjoyed biting into the meat itself. The thing I enjoyed most was the chunks of kimchi. The things I enjoyed most was the chunks of onion. I love the chunks of tofu. But I never really liked the pieces of meat inside of it. I love the flavor that the meat provides. And so as a result, I'm only going to be using the stock from the beef necks, but I'm never going to be including any sort of chunks of meat. If you would like to include some chunks of meat, very traditional inside of a kimchi jjigae, is to do some pork belly. You could also do thinly sliced pork shoulder or really thinly sliced skirt steak. You will find skirt steak be used and then maybe just only added towards the end. So it's just really thinly sliced and it cooks almost kind of like a hot pot. Okay, is beef neck kind of like turkey necks with lots of tissue that breaks down? Absolutely, Simulator. Beef neck is an excellent cut of meat for something like a stock, just because it has so much collagen, it has so much connective tissue, right? And it's a little bit too tough to eat otherwise. So when I'm making beef stocks, I'm always considering things like shanks. I'm always considering things like you know, let's say a little bit of marrow. Let's say we're using something like beef necks. Anything with a lot of bone, anything with a lot of connective tissue, anything with a lot of collagen, and something with not a lot of meat. Cuts of beef that have a lot of meat on it, as opposed to a lot of connective tissue and bone. It kind of results in a scum and a foam sort of developing on top of the stock, and it doesn't really provide as rich of a flavor inside of the final stock, okay? You can do a roasted stock, you can do a completely boiled stock. I'm doing a roasted stock today, just for a little bit of extra depth of flavor. So, onion inside of my Dutch oven, just gonna be chilling out. Again, we're not going to be cooking it until my beef stock is finished. So I saw some videos of certain broths going permanently on for months. That's crazy. Eskia, so I've seen those kinds of broths, but here's the thing. Those perpetual broths, those perpetual stews, they're actually just kind of losing more flavor over time. Sure, things are like browning and you're getting some of the mild reaction, but in regards to aromatics, especially if you had any vegetables in like the stock, those just kind of evaporate after it's been boiled for a certain amount of time. So those perpetual stocks, I also don't really know like the safety of it all. People have been doing it for a very long time, but just because people have been doing it for a long time doesn't mean that it's totally safe. I've always kind of like questioned, you know, what people kind of like think about it. Okay, Daria, I've been making stock since I've watched you do it in the Instant Pot a couple of months ago. Holy moly, is it incredible. Tech Jansen, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to really, really inspire you guys. Okay, so I'm very glad that that's worked out for you. So let's go ahead and move on to doing these sweet potatoes. Because guys, the sweet potatoes, let me tell you, they can be a bit of a pain in the ass to prep sometimes. Itamari VGC says, I still don't know what stock is. Great question. A stock is a term that I think is personally interchangeable with the use of a broth. A stock just simply refers to any flavorful liquid. Let's say a beef stock. We've extracted the flavors out of some beef into some water. A vegetable stock. We've taken vegetables and we've extracted the flavor into water. A chicken stock, right? And a stock, the difference between a stock and a broth is that a stock is typically a little bit more bland. It's not as much seasoned, so that it can be used for a soup in the future, so that it can be used as stew in the future, and it's kind of like a blank canvas while still giving you a little bit of flavor. Okay, so that's all that a stock is, Itamari. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and prep all of my sweet potatoes. But first, I'm going to, where's my correct shot? There it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly dump out the onion peels. Basically a demo version of soup. I think that's a good way of putting it, Itamari. It's just the beginnings of a soup. It's the beginnings of a stew. It's the beginnings of a sauce. It is just the base of it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and peel my sweet potatoes. And everybody, I have been on a really, really huge sweet potato kick lately. I've been eating an aggressive amount of sweet potatoes. I love the flavor, and more than anything, I also just really, really like the fiber content, okay? I have become recently very, very sweet potato pilled, I have to say. But sweet potato is one of those things that honestly, I feel like it just really benefits from very simple preparations. In this case, it's just gonna be really quickly fried in some oil and then stewed down. But honestly, guys, if it was just entirely up to me right now, I would just have a baked sweet potato as it is. But I wanna have it be in the flavor context of Korean food. And so, we're doing this little banchan, we're doing this little side dish, the sweet potato braised in some soy sauce, just for a little bit of extra flavor. Okay, almost done. And then we're just gonna be cutting that little tip off of it. Just getting that guy gone and out of here in just a moment. And they all, of course, come in all shapes and sizes. And guys, if you had a choice, if you had multiple options of the sweet potatoes available to you, always, 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 the sweet potato that I have really fallen in love with has been the Japanese sweet potato. The Japanese sweet potato, it's a little bit less moist. It's a little bit drier. The texture of it is more similar to yuca, if you're familiar with it. But the sweetness and the flavor of a Japanese sweet potato, guys, it is excellent. It is impossible to beat. Look how sharp my peeler is. Look how well it's going. I've had this peeler already for, I want to say, a minimum of 2 years, and yet it peels like it's brand new. Very, very pleased with this peeler. It's just, what is this? It's just a Victorinox peeler. It's the cheapest peeler there is. This is not the kind of piece of equipment that you want to splurge on. You never want to buy a particularly nice or expensive peeler because it's an innately replaceable thing, and it's not like you're buying a better quality steel if you opt for a more expensive peeler. I've been using them since sometimes the sweet potatoes at my store look iffy. Absolutely trash can cat mom. And I have to say, they're just usually better. The Japanese sweet potatoes are just usually better. I have actually no idea what kind of sweet potato this is. This was completely unlabeled at my grocery store. If anybody who knows more about sweet potatoes than I do, then please let me know. My favorite knife is a Victorinox, even though I have fancier ones as simulator. Yeah, Victorinox knives, they're totally fine. That was the brand that everybody was like, hey, you want a cheap knife? You go buy a Victorinox. It'll just be fine. Although the white color of this really does remind me of a Japanese sweet potato. So I'm just cutting off these ends, and then I'm also going to just get this dirty skin wiped off of it that we don't really want inside of our final product. But honestly, guys, sweet potatoes, they're all interchangeable with one another. They're all really, really similar. They all cook very similarly. If you don't have one or the other, you can absolutely just swap them out. But it's interesting. I feel like in most cultures, there's not necessarily like a sweet potato dish per se. The cultures that do tend to cook and use sweet potato, it's just kind of cooked as it is. It's just kind of baked whole. It's baked in the skin and then it's like cut in half, or it's like put into an open fire, you know, something like that. Okay, so we're going to need to get these bad boys. And so I want to say something like a small dice. And what's also really nice about a stew like this holds super well in the fridge. This is very, very easy to reheat. Okay, this is the kind of a thing that either gets served hot or at room temperature. So either one is totally okay. And so I'm going to begin. Let's see, what's going to be the best way to go about this? I want to have a nice, stable cutting surface. So I'm going to begin. Ooh, guys, these guys are a little bit tough. Okay, that might be actually a little bit trickier than I once thought. Let's see. We're going to go ahead, and that's not going to work. There is no universe in which I am able to actually cut this entire sweet potato in half. I'm getting tired of saying that, by the way, sweet potato over and over again. So I'm thinking maybe we're going to just go ahead and slice it into nice little discs like so. And really, really important, everybody, we do not chop it. We slice it, because take a look at what happens. If we slice it, we get a really, really beautiful flat plank. If we were to chop it, we're going to slam the knife down on a hard cutting board, and it'll dull the knife. And watch what happens. Ready? Just pushing it down. Bad leverage. Look at that. Look at what happened. We got a wedge of sweet potato. It's not a perfect flat plank. You want a slice, my friends. You want to slice it all the way through. Ready? Slice it. Slice it. And that way, you get a perfect flat part of this potato. Ready? And slice it. It's going just fine, Shark Dog. We got nothing to worry about over here, okay? And slice it. And yes, sweet potatoes can be of this color. Sweet potatoes can be orange, they can be red, they can be white, they can be yellow, they can be purple. There's a lot of different kinds of sweet potatoes out there. Am I saying that too much? Sweet potato, just saying it over and over again. I know I'm not exactly exhibiting the best knife skills at the moment, but now that we kind of have it flatted out like this, I should be able to mostly get this guy cut, please, and thank you. It was kind of a bit of a wedge, but that's okay. And let's just get more of these half moons. One after another. There you go. I might be completely wrong, but I felt like the Japanese sweet potato is a little bit harder to cut through. You know, Trash Can Cat Mom, it has been long enough that I've cut a sweet potato like this that I am not able to properly recall. So I'm not able to really confirm or deny your statement. There we go. Now that we have a nice flat cutting surface, they all went pretty easily. And I think I'm just going to go with something of this shape. I think this is going to be totally fine for today. What are these? Quarter circles? Let's do that. You know, this is enough sweet potato that I think I regret peeling a second one. I think I might have only wanted to use half of the amount here. OMG, the banchan are the funnest part of the Korean dinner. Yeah, I agree, Simulator. Especially, you know, when you go out for like KBBQ or something. My favorite thing is just always like getting, you know, just like a ridiculous amount of corn cheese. Or just eating all the potato salad. I love Korean potato salad. I find that to be super, super pleasant. Okay. I think quarter circles is just fine. Also, guys, it's a sweet potato. There's no right or wrong way to do this. These are so forgiving. These are going to get nice and soft when they're cooked through. The only thing is if you just get them a little bit too lopsided, they're not all going to cook at the same time, which would be a bit of a problem, okay? So, I do indeed regret busting out 2 sweet potatoes, because I think this is plenty. I am by myself at home. So, you know, I'm just kind of eating this all on my own at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up in plastic and put this into the fridge. Wait, what's in Korean potato salad? Asks Trash Can Cat Mom. That's a good question. I don't totally recall. I actually think it's very, very similar to a Western potato salad. To like an American one. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, Yoon, for the compliment. It was very nice of you. Okay. I feel kind of embarrassed taking the sweet potato out of its like natural skin, out of its natural protector, and then wrapping it up in plastic. There's something very innately wasteful and silly about this, but I simply did not think about my portions very much today. And so, here we are. I didn't really think about it, and I made the mistake. And you know what, guys? I also had sitting in my fridge half of a potato. I made a little bit of Turkish lentil soup the other day. I'm kind of inclined. No, I don't want to mess with the sweetness of it all. I want a very nice, sweet, rich stew. I don't want any bland chunks of regular potato in there. I'm getting that out of here. No ideas, no funny business today. So, all my sweet potatoes prepped and ready to go, and they're going to be, we're going to be just cooking them in a little bit of oil. Then we're going to be pouring in a little bit of soy sauce. We might do a little bit of sugar if it's not actually sweet enough. And then these guys, I promise you, they come together really, really quickly and really easily. Okay, so that goes behind me. And now we have to think about the rest of the prep that we need to get done for today. So, the beef stock is still currently going. We have to slice the scallions. We have to slice up the tofu. We're going to be measuring out the gochujang. We also have to be slicing the kimchi. I think the kimchi is going to be the last thing that I slice because, of course, it is sopping wet in there at the moment. And, you know, I want it to be kind of like the last thing that makes contact with the cutting board for that reason. So let's go ahead and go at all of my lovely scallions. But before we do so, you see my knife? You see all that starch on it? Let's go ahead and wipe that off. Let's get it out of here. Let's clean it off just so that it doesn't dry on my blade. Makes it more complicated to deal with later on. Okay. Guys, please. I need a haircut so bad. It needs to happen already. For anybody like watching back the VODs, I know you guys must be so annoyed with me talking about this by now, but I'm just like so bad about doing it on time. Here's my idea actually. You know what? We're gonna take a break from the food for a second. This is a stream, okay? It's not just a cooking show, it's a stream. I'm allowed to talk about myself. Here's what I was thinking. I want everybody to give me your input and your insight on this. So, here's my idea. Of course, get my front bangs trimmed up a little bit. I want to keep these sides quite long over here and to keep it wrapped around my face. Okay, next. On the sides, you see where my ears are? I want to get the hair that is around my ears totally cut out. And in fact, I might even want to shave the sides of my head while keeping this front portion. I want optimized haircut for headphone gaming. I don't want to have hair that blocks my headphones. I want to be able to put my headset on without having to worry about the hair at all. So, a little tiny section of it to be cut off to expose my ears, and then just get my bangs trimmed up again a little bit. That is what I kind of have envisioned for myself. What are the thoughts? What are the feelings on this? That's a good idea, right? The last time I shaved my head, I looked like, well, transgender Skrillex. So it wasn't great because I didn't actually keep the front part of it and I just shaved the entirety of my left side. It was a really, really terrible idea. Did not recommend it. But if I were to shave it again, I would just simply do a little chunk of it while keeping the front side of it. And hopefully I don't look like Skrillex this time around. That would be the idea. It was pretty bad. Okay. Wonderful. I've not cut my hair in 10 years and my headphones look fine, Shark Dog, I see. I also should just learn how to do it myself at this point. Okay, whatever, enough about me, enough about my hair. I just wanted to put it out there, see what you guys think, see if there's anybody who knows anything about it at all. I'm very bad with these sorts of things. Let's go back to the scallions. So, everybody, there is no such thing as Korean food without scallions. Scallions find themselves all over the place, and this jjigae is no exception. However, I wish that I had 2 times as many scallions. You might be asking me, why are we mixing scallions and onions? Well, guess what? They taste different. They have totally different textures. The only thing is, I want to reserve my nicest greens for adding just towards the end as like a very, very nice thin slice. Okay? So these really, really nice thick greens. These guys are going to be sliced up really, really beautifully. They're going to be sliced up really thinly. And then these bad boys, we're simply just going to cut them diagonally. On a really, really huge bias, just like so, we're going to get these big, big, big chunks of scallions, everybody. And so go all the way, go, ooh, hello. I got to watch out for my pinky. My nail just protected me from getting my finger sliced off. That does not typically happen to me. So please excuse my bad form. There you go. That was a little bit scary, wasn't it? I say as I'm reassuring myself. Shout outs to my pinky nail for saving my life today. While calling them bad boys, what did they do? That's a good question, actually. I didn't think about it that far ahead. Le clues. Okay, and then for my scallion greens, I want to do something pretty. I'm going to do something nice. We can do a little thing that is sort of known in the industry, parentheses, the restaurant industry, as sexy scallions, which is essentially, we're going to take these scallions and we're going to be putting them in a little bit of cold water, and then hopefully they'll almost like bloom a little bit, okay? And so I'm going to show you guys exactly what that looks like in just a second. We're going to take them, we're going to cut them in half just like so. I've yet to actually really achieve the full bloom. This is a random story, forgive me, says Simulator. I saw a video of Jacques Pepin making a recipe and his green onions were more wilted than mine and he just cut off the sloppy bits and it made me feel better for some reason. Well, yeah, guys, you know what? Produce is not always perfect. Produce is not always perfect. We can always just, trim them and save them as needed. So let's take a look. We're going to take these scallions and almost completely parallel this way, we're just going to be cutting super, super, super thin slices. We're almost going to get this V shape out of the scallions. We're getting this V shape, okay? I'm gonna show you exactly what each of these look like. But you wanna go as thin as you possibly can. Thin. Slicing all the way through. Guys, take a look. Little blades, little shrapnel of scallion, just like so, okay? And hopefully, if I did these correctly, what's going to happen is they're almost going to curl up a little bit when we put them in just a touch of ice water. And we're going to keep them there. So we'll see how it turns out. Slice them, nice and thin. There you go, wonderful. And I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bowl. We'll see how it turns out. I have actually been historically quite unlucky with how my sexy scallions have turned out. So everybody, pray with me. Let's hope that things are a little bit different this time around. I'm gonna go ahead and get some ice inside of it all. We'll have a good amount of ice. I do surely loathe getting ice out of ice cube trays. I find it to be one of the most annoying kitchen tasks. I don't like handling ice. It sticks as it condenses. I don't like the sensation of it very much. I know that's like a pretty niche complaint, but I really do mean it. I don't really like working with ice. Okay. There we go. Good amount of ice cubes in there. I'll get rid of this. And we'll get some cold water and put the scallions in and let them go for a little bit and see how they turn out. And I'll just keep them in the fridge so that the ice doesn't melt too much, so that this all stays nice and cold. So, scallions inside, and then we'll check back on these guys in just a little bit to see how they turned out, okay? So hopefully, if I did this correctly, the scallions, they're just going to curl up a little bit, and they're going to just be a little bit more substantial, and they're going to soak up a little bit of the water inside, and they're going to get slightly more plump. They're not going to like soak it up perhaps, but they're just going to get a little bit firmer. So let's come back to them in just a little bit of time, and we'll see how they went. Okay, what else do we have to do? Well, for my jjigae, I want it to be quite garlicky. I'm trying to have some really, really big flavors inside of it. You don't always see garlic inside of a jjigae, but in mine, you will. So, I'm going to be doing just 2 cloves of garlic because the kimchi itself has a lot of garlic to provide. Now, how do we peel the garlic? That's a simple question, one with a simple answer. We take it and we smash it. We take it and we smash it, my friends. And in fact, I'm gonna be smashing the rest of my garlic cloves also in preparation for my sweet potato stew because they're going to be requiring quite a few garlic cloves. Let's take them and smash it. Let's take it and smash it. Is everybody watching? This is time for a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. Okay, and let's toss these peels. Get them all out of here. Okay. Okay, come on, buddy. Off you go. And the reason why this works, I just want you to imagine this papery layer. When you crunch up the paper, it doesn't necessarily break. However, when you sort of squish the fleshy layer under the garlic itself, it separates from the papery skin. Okay? Have you tried the technique where they put a bunch of garlic in a bowl and shake it? I did it once and it didn't do anything. Yeah, Shark Dog, that technique is annoying. I've tried it. I don't like it. It requires quite a bit of effort to actually get the garlic inside bruised enough that it properly separates from the skin. It's not BS. It just takes a lot of force, and you have to make sure that it's not overfilled so that the garlic inside is actually properly flying around. But in my opinion, it is a lot more effort than it's actually worth it. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and grab just a tiny little cute condiment bowl, but I'm actually just going to be breaking the majority of these garlic cloves, or rather the two big ones, over the rest of this potential jjigae that we have here, the soon to become jjigae. So one, and let's get my second clove, just the big clove in. One and two. Again, we will have plenty and plenty of garlic coming in from the kimchi itself, okay? So there will be no shortage of garlic flavor inside of the final product. So 2 big cloves is just fine as a start. And now, as for my little cloves, these will all be for my stewed sweet potatoes, which will be beginning in a second. I know today's pretty uneventful. Today's, we don't got that much crazy stuff going on. But that's just, again, because we're really mostly waiting on my beef stock to be completed properly. Okay, there you go. That's all pressed through. Let's go ahead and just simply scrape off the rest of that. Beautiful. And before my garlic press dries out, everybody, as always, the time to wash it is now. Don't wait for the garlic to just simply clog the holes. Don't wait for it to just get in there and for it to just get dry and unpleasant. Now is the time that you want to go ahead and get in there and push it all out. Get a brush in there, and then you can just finish washing it with soap and water, or you can just throw it into the dishwasher, which I think I'm just going to do with the soap and water right now. But the time to wash it is now, my friends. Do not let it dry. People complain so often about how a garlic press is annoying to clean. It is not annoying to clean if you just wash it immediately. I can promise you that. So, washed up, done with, gone, and we'll get them out of here. You're washed, buddy. You're done. You're cooked. Get them gone. Beautiful. Okay. So let's see. I'm being riveted by the green onion slicing, so no need to apologize. Well, I'm glad that you're excited about it. We'll see how it actually turns out. Did the chef touch on the 2-piece garlic press that is only 2 detachable sides and parts? Which one are you talking about, Richies? I'm not really sure what you're talking about at the moment. I'm not sure what you're referencing that is. Okay. Hopefully the scallions will be okay. All right. So we got the garlic done. Next up, we're going to have to go ahead and do the ginger. It's a garlic press that basically just disassembles at the hinge and everything is very easy and painless to clean. Wonderful, great, excellent. Mine doesn't actually disassemble, but I've had no trouble cleaning it whatsoever. It just kind of dangles around a little bit, sure, but that's about it. Okay, everybody, I'm going to want a generous amount of ginger with the sweet potatoes. Again, ginger, garlic with the sweet potatoes, it's almost very, very festive, isn't it? The best way to peel ginger consistently is with the use of a spoon. So all I'm going to go ahead and do is just take my teaspoon and sort of scrape and scrape and scrape alongside it. Now, the easiest garlic press that I know that people have, there's a 1-piece garlic press that almost kind of rolls around a little bit, and you just press on it with 2 hands. I know that one has been becoming very, very popular as of late, but the disadvantage of it is that you can't do it over a bowl, and that it has to be over a cutting board. But with myself, guys, I'm more than happy with my current garlic press. It does the job for me just fine. Okay, I have a big old chunk of ginger here. I don't think I'm going to be using all of it because I don't like things to be too gingery at the end of the day. Come on, out you go. Thank you. Thank you. Out it goes. And we're just going to go ahead and just slice off the bottom part. It's ginger. It's so cheap. I'm not going to go ahead and get like super, super crazy about peeling it efficiently or anything. So I got my ginger. I have my microplane as well. And then we're just going to get maybe like a similar amount volume-wise to the garlic. We can always add more as needed if we feel like it's fit. Actually, I might not do this over my condiment cup, just so that I can get my full surface area of ginger grating. Although it's a tiny piece of ginger, so it's a little bit tricky. Using my microplane, let's get this guy all nice and processed. We just gotta make sure I have a good grip on it so that I don't accidentally hurt myself. And out it comes, all of my lovely ginger. And then I think we could just begin cooking the sweet potato. The sweet potato, guys, really, really simple. We're gonna fry it in a little bit of olive oil. We're going to add the soy sauce. We're going to add the ginger. We're gonna add the garlic. We're going to cook it until it's nice and soft. And then we're going to finish it with the sesame oil and the sesame seeds. Really, really, really simple, easy stuff. Now, I will say though, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know why I'm frying it in the olive oil to begin with. If I guess correctly, if this happens the way that I think it will, I think the sweet potato is just going to kind of soak up all of the olive oil, and it's not actually going to cook that evenly inside of it all. I don't think frying it in a little bit of olive oil is going to do that much for it, but no way to find out other than to just simply do it. Once again, guys, with a microplane, same exact thing goes for the garlic press. You just want to go ahead and wash it immediately. And I'm going to see if actually frying it in the olive oil is going to do anything. I really want to be careful not to have too much oil. I want this to be a very, very light side dish, especially with such like a rich kimchi stew going to be coming our way. So we'll take good caution. All right, let that dry a little bit. We're officially done with my microplane. Okay, so everybody, just to recap, what do we got going on? All that I did so far, I sliced the onion, I prepared the scallion, I soaked in a little bit of ice water, my scallion greens that is. We cut up my sweet potato, and I currently have beef stock going inside of my pressure cooker. The beef stock has been cooking for a total of only 43 minutes, meaning I want to really give it at least another half hour to extract as much of that deep, rich, beefy flavor as possible. So we're going to go ahead and begin by doing the sweet potatoes. Also, Kimli Panska, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Excuse me, guys, just gotta check on something. 1 second, please, and thank you. But yeah, everybody, if you have any cooking questions at all, please remember that you are more than welcome to ask me at any point in time, and that now would also be a really, really good time to ask. So do not forget it. One second. Just a little bit important. Okay. Am I a professional chef? Well, the clues, let me tell you something. The word professional, all that means is that people make money doing it. I have very limited experience working in a restaurant. I apprenticed at a restaurant when I was 13 years old, but I've been cooking my whole life. Given that I'm making money from doing this, I mean, technically, yes, I'm a professional. I consider myself more functionally amateur professional. But what I do for a living, I mean, I do the cooking streams, I do cooking teaching, and then I'm also an esports commentator. I am currently trying to get like another job on top of it for fun, because there is some other stuff that I would like to learn at a really, really nice restaurant. So fingers crossed at the moment. But I've actually never been officially hired for a restaurant job. So everybody, we're going to begin with cooking my sweet potatoes. I'm going to simply put this guy away. We have no use for him for now. We're going to get a nice deep saucepan all set and all ready to go. I'm going to heat it up. As always, everybody, medium, low heat is the key for a nice evenly heated surface. Although, for something like this, honestly, it doesn't really matter if it's all that evenly heated because it's all going to end up braising anyways. The order of operations is as follows. We're going to fry the sweet potatoes a little bit in hopes of us potentially getting a little bit of color on them. I'm actually not all that confident that we'll get a lot of color on it. Okay, we're going to fry the sweet potatoes a little bit inside of here. We'll add the garlic, we'll add the ginger, we'll add the soy sauce, and then we'll just add in enough water just so that we have a medium to conduct the heat evenly over the sweet potatoes, and then cook them until they're nice and soft. We'll then reduce the liquid until it's thick and syrupy. If all goes accordingly, and if all goes to plan, we will not need the addition of any sort of starch whatsoever, because the sweet potato should have enough starch, enough of the sweet potato should crumble away that it naturally thickens the sauce around it. Okay? Cool, your techniques are on point. Love to watch these Sunday streams. Well, thank you, Licluse. I really appreciate it. Okay, and then Shark Dog asks, have you thought about starting your own restaurant, and what would be the theme? So, Shark Dog, that's a really good question. And my answer is the following. I have a lot of problems with the restaurant industry as it is. The reason why I'm going to be trying to go into it now at this juncture is because there is some stuff that I would like to learn. However, I don't actually think that the work of the... Oh, hold on a second. First of all, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs to whoever it was, for the anonymous 5 gifted. Thank you. It's very sweet of you. It's really appreciated. I have a lot of problems with the restaurant industry as it is. As a service industry, 95% of the places that exist, I feel like don't actually provide meaningful food. To be able to make meaningful food, it doesn't even have to be delicious food, but meaningful food that actually employs staff well, people that really care about the food that they're putting out, people that are trying to make it well, it is typically quite expensive and quite inaccessible to most people to be able to dine there, aside from once in a very, very, very special occasion. The kind of restaurant that I would want to envision, I don't know how to really open it, meeting all the logistical challenges. I would want to have everybody be paid very well. I would like everybody to work reasonable hours. I would like to serve entirely my own menu of things that I think people should be eating. And then I would also like to be able to source my ingredients, in like the most local way possible, right? I very, very strongly believe in sort of trying to rebuild some sense of locality in the US cuisine, which is admittedly a bit of a challenge. There's not a lot of particularly easy ways to do that without having it be really expensive. That's why really fine dining is so expensive. Those Michelin-star restaurants, they're doing all of that, but it's not really possible to do so aside from having a really high price point. So the idea I always had was having a sister restaurant concept, having a really, really nice restaurant, a really nice fine dining operation. Everything is marked up a couple of $100s, and then that is used to essentially subsidize a bit of a cheaper setting that is sort of intended to feed people. Something that is meant to feed people, but is meant to feed people really well. And the only way that you can do that is through like a wealth distribution model of having a really, really expensive restaurant subsidize the cost of a cheaper one, because the cheaper one has to innately operate at a loss. So that is the only sort of restaurant concept that I've been able to really think of. In what I would consider to be meaningful food that is also still simultaneously accessible. Which is a little bit difficult to achieve. At this point in my life, I have no interest in doing that. I would love to be able to do that when I'm 30, when I'm 40 years old or so. That all sounds really fine and dandy. Okay, so olive oil, right? We don't necessarily need it to be at a point where it is smoking or anything. We'll just go ahead in with the sweet potatoes right now. And we're going to be very careful with the amount of salt. Why? Well, this is going to be braised in soy sauce, okay? You don't want your sweet potatoes to be fully seasoned now, because otherwise the soy sauce is just going to make them unreasonably salty. So, everybody, let's find out. Here is my hypothesis. well, not exactly a technical hypothesis, but bear with me. I think that these sweet potatoes are going to absorb the majority of the oil that they're supposed to be frying in. I don't actually think that this frying stage is going to be all that efficient. Also, Drem, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. How long have you been already subbed? Already for 9 months on the new channel. I don't know how long you've been here on the old channel, but it's lovely to have you. Okay, let's see how much meaningful color, let's see how much meaningful browning we're actually going to be able to get out of these potatoes. Everybody, I'm guessing not that much. So, order of operations. We're going to fry them just a little bit to get some color on them. Once they have some color on them, I'm also going to bring that into focus better for you all, because it seemed like it was out of focus. Once it has a little bit of color, we're going to add the garlic, we're going to add the ginger, we're going to add the soy sauce, and then just enough water that everything is able to simmer. Once everything is simmering and getting soft, we'll reduce it, and we'll finish it with some sesame seeds and some sesame oil. I think the size of the pan might inhibit the amount of surface area available for frying. Well, Richies, while that is true, I do need a pan with some pretty tall sides so that I'm able to go ahead and flood everything with water. And I don't want to include too much water, okay? So let's see. Actually, you know what, guys? We're getting a little bit of frying going. The sweet potatoes, it's currently splashing inside of the pan as they're releasing a little bit of water. I have to say, this is not the most common way for me to cook a sweet potato. I almost always just kind of bake them as it is. I bake them as it is, and then I just scoop out the flesh and I do something else with it. While that is frying, while that is going and getting a little bit of color on it, hopefully just getting it a little bit more brown, a little bit more nutty, let's just check on my scallions. So if I did these correctly, they should have curled up. They've definitely plumped up, as you can see, right, which is really nice. But guys, I'm afraid that my scallions didn't really curl too much. Only a little bit. Which is fine. I'm okay with this result, but this is a little bit more of what I'm looking for. This is what they should look like. This is a properly sexy scallion, my friends. This is the kind of curl that I kind of wanted to achieve, and that makes for a really good garnish. These guys didn't curl up so much, and my guess is I simply just cut them way too thick. I needed to have a thinner slice on them to get them to curl up the way that I envisioned. Okay, back to the sweet potatoes we go. They're frying away. They're doing their thing at the moment. Slightly sticking to the bottom. But guys, any of the sweet potato that's stuck to the bottom, it's all going to end up deglazed anyways. Again, I don't need a crazy amount of color. These are not sweet potato fries or anything. It does not need to be perfectly fried or anything. It's all going to get braised. It's all going to get simmered down. There's not that much for us to worry about. Okay? And again, I'm not really concerned with salting them at this stage. I think we're going to have plenty of salinity from the soy sauce. I really just want these, the first flavor I want it to be is to be sweet. The jjigae itself is anything but sweet. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be rich. It's going to be meaty. It's going to be thick. It's going to be salty. It's got some acidity from the kimchi. I want a very nice sweet counterpart to go alongside that. And so I want the salt to be a little bit less than usual for something like this. Okay? So just keep frying it till we get a sufficient amount of color on it. We'll add the aromatics. And then we'll let it cook. Nice and easy. Nice and simple. So yeah, the sweet potatoes, they're releasing quite a bit of starch on the bottom of the pan here. Again, I do not mind it. It's all going to end up getting deglazed, and it's all going to go into the final product. And I'm still able to be so rough with it. I'm able to still almost kind of like bash it around because these sweet potatoes are just, they're functionally raw at this point, you know? They're still basically totally raw. So we can be really rough with them. But then, as you know, once they get soft, once they get nice and cooked, once they get nice and braised, they're going to be anything but tough. They're not going to be able to withstand that at all. So I'm going to give that a minute. I'm going to add the soy sauce in. I'm going to add some water in, just enough to be able to barely almost just below covering the sweet potatoes. And then that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point in time? It can be about this, it can be about something else. We're just waiting for my beef stock to be finished. And once the beef stock is finished, we'll get with the program and we'll get with the rest of the jjigae cooking. Again, ideally, I would have cooked my beef stock for like 2 hours, for like 3 hours inside of the pressure cooker, get as much flavor out of those beef bones as possible. But today, unfortunately, I think only an hour is possible. So, guys, my sweet potatoes have finally hit the point where they're starting to get a little bit softer. They're starting to mush up a little bit. We've almost developed some of this fond at the bottom. I'm adding my garlic and ginger. I'm letting it infuse into the oil for just a moment. It doesn't need to fry, it doesn't need to get too much color. I'm just sort of letting it infuse. And as you can also tell, we have begun to really absorb all of that oil in the pan. As the starch just almost kind of, not separates, but as we're breaking out the sweet potatoes into these little tiny bits, a lot of surface area, that's what ends up soaking up the oil. And I'm going to go in roughly, I want to say with a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce. In goes some dark soy sauce. In goes some light soy sauce, just to balance it out. And then we will add some water. Just again, just below covering them. If we cover them completely, it'll take forever to actually get these guys properly cooked. Now that we've added the liquid, do me a favor, everybody, and scrape up everything and anything that is left behind on the bottom of the pan. You want to make sure that none of that stuff just stays there, that none of that stuff just sort of burns. It's going to be a little bit tricky getting that starch unbonded from the pan. But now the only goal is we're going to cook it until it's nice and soft. And then we're going to simmer it down until it cooks and coats, all of the sweet potatoes. So in total, this process should take about 15 minutes or so. I'm just going around though, and I'm scraping and I'm unsticking all of those clumps that are stuck at the bottom. I'm unsticking it all. I'm unsticking it all, guys. All of them have to go. Okay? Get them gone, get them out of here, get them integrated into the pan, please and thank you. Use as much mechanical force as you need to deglaze and scrape off the stuff from this pan. Trust me, you will thank me later for this. Okay, that's it. That's going. That's how simple and easy this dish is. So why different soy sauces? Good question, Shark Dog. I don't actually have any other kind of soy sauce. A little bit of light soy sauce, a little bit of dark soy sauce, and that kind of comes together to make your standard soy sauce. That's why. Okay, I'm gonna get these guys out of here. That is plenty and plenty of soy sauce for today. Again, I did not salt this at all because we were just simply using the natural salt and the soy sauce itself. The good flavory bottom of the pan. Now, look, clues, I have to say, I don't really know how tasty the fond of the sweet potato is. It's just kind of like the stuck bits of starch. It's the stuck bits of sweet potato in there. I don't really know how tasty it is, but I definitely know that it will help to almost sort of thicken the sauce and will stop anything from potentially burning. So I'm just going through it one more time. I'm being as thorough as I possibly can. And now we're just going. We're just cooking it down. And once it's almost totally cooked down, that's when we'll go in with the sesame seeds and we'll go in with the sesame oil. Yeah, that's right, Richie. You got it. It's just helping to clean out the pan. I'll just give the liquid a little bit of a taste. Let's just see how salty it is. Not salty. It's soy sauce and water and garlic and ginger. You can't really go wrong with that, you know? Really standard stuff. And if it's not sweet enough by the end of it all, we're always welcome to add in a little bit of sugar. Tasty. But I do not want to aggressively boil them. I want to just very, very gently simmer them. I want to cook the sweet potato evenly. I don't want to beat it up too much in the process of boiling it down. Okay, I don't want to boil it to death or anything. Okay. That's it. So, everybody, once again, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So welcome. I hope you're all having a beautiful day today. Hope you're all having a beautiful Sunday. If you would like to support the cooking show, best way to do so is my Patreon. Check out the Patreon, !Patreon. There is a sub-exclusive Discord, but ultimately the goal of the Patreon is just to help recoup some of the costs of the stream. And then also so that we can do some new upgrades. I want to do new cameras. I want to do a better setup. I want to get some better lighting. You can also type in !tip or donate. That's also a really nice way of getting money directly into my pocket. Once again, !tip or donate. And then also join the Discord if you haven't already done so. !Discord. We have a lovely community Discord. It's a lovely group of people. Go in there, talk about cooking. That's what I want you guys to do. I want you all to get in there and to talk about food. I want you guys to post pictures of your food. And at any point in time, if you have any questions about food or restaurants or cooking, that is the place to go ahead and ask me. That is where if you tag me, I will respond immediately because I'm here to just help you guys out. So, Patreon, tip, donate, as well as my Discord. Wonderful. Glad that we are all on the same page. And let's just see that one more time, please. Let's go back to the sweet potatoes. That is boiling way too aggressively. We're only cooking this for about 15 minutes. Just until they're all nice and soft. They don't take too long to cook at all, especially in such a wet environment. I'm just scraping up the bottom once again, once more. And we'll just cook this until the sweet potatoes are all nice and soft. Okay, so what do we actually have left to do, everybody? We're going to do the kimchi. We're going to slice that bad boy up. We're going to get some of the kimchi juice, maybe about like a quarter of a cup or so. And we're going to get that directly into the pot. And then afterwards, that is when I'll release the pressure on my beef stock. Godzilla, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. We'll release the pressure on my beef stock. We'll begin cooking the jjigae. And then, you know, I think that's about it, actually. So, let's begin. Let's go ahead and go on over to, of course, my lovely kimchi. And I'm gonna be using, I don't know, guys, maybe about like a little bit less than a pound for today. So here's what we're going to go ahead and do. I'm gonna grab some chopsticks. I'm going to grab a strainer, and we're going to get all of the juice from the kimchi just directly into the pot so that it doesn't really mess up my cutting board too much, okay? So that should be about, I don't know, I want to say like half of my jar of kimchi for today. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot of kimchi, but guess what? It's gonna be delicious. I'm just quickly straining out some of the excess liquid. And just getting just under a pound of it, or so. All of that lovely juice inside. Okay. 1 second, everybody. In fact, I could just probably show you the straining process. Ah, it's all the way back here. Come here, my friend. Thank you. I am just getting as much of that juice in here as possible to just simply make my life easier. Press it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. I'm just using a pair of chopsticks, although probably easiest if you just get in there with your hands. Just press it out, press it out, press it out, press it out. You don't want all of that kimchi juice on your cutting board, everybody, okay? Okay, wonderful. That's done. That's been taken care of. I'm gonna go ahead and simply now transfer that over to my cutting board. And we can begin cutting it. I don't think I need to give that much of an explanation on how to do this. We're just looking for chunks of kimchi. We don't want massive, massive leaves of napa cabbage in there or anything. Darling, your cooking is so good. Thank you, Hexo. That's the goal. That's the idea. Hexo, are you excited for the return of Brawlhalla this year? Wait, is it last week's menu? Guys, did I never update the bot? Wait a second, what? Guys, was the menu working before? Did my menu mess up? Because I swear to God, I definitely updated it for today. I'm just going through, I'm slicing my cabbage. Has my menu command been broken this whole time today? Okay, going through. We just don't want massive chunks of kimchi in there. But that should be just fine. And I'm going to just give it a few passes this way. Oh no, well, I do apologize about that. I'm sorry, guys. That was not my intention at all. Okay, let's get it scooped up. Let's get this guy thrown into the pot. You can never have too much kimchi, my friends. Okay. Do you sharpen your knives with a whetstone or do you just use a quick sharpening tool? Asks Gucci's. The answer is, I get my knives professionally sharpened. I have yet to figure out how to properly sharpen my really, really nice expensive knives with a whetstone to not really mess them up too much. And so admittedly, I do just get mine professionally sharpened instead. I have a lovely knife store in New York City that I go to for all of my needs called Quillen. Not sponsored, but maybe I'll hit them up to get sponsored one day. We'll see what happens. That's why you guys have to support. That's why you guys have to watch. I would love to get sponsors from brands that are like actually meaningful brands. Guys, I'll never get nonsense brands. I'll never sell you guys garbage. I'll never get a Hexclad sponsorship. I hate those guys for the life of me. I hate their product. Hate everything about their direction. Anyhow, I'll never do that to you all. I promise you that much. I'm just stirring up my sweet potatoes. Stirring them up. They're stewing down and they're getting nice and beautiful and soft. Okay, so you know what, guys? I think that my beef stock is just about ready to release pressure on it. It's been going as long as I could let it go reasonably. I'm releasing the pressure. I'm letting it vent. And then I will unveil to you my beautiful, beautiful stock. We'll strain it out. We'll get it in there. We'll get maybe just about like 2 cups worth of stock or so. And then we'll let it all come up to a nice little boil. We'll add the tofu in. We'll add the gochujang in and everything. And it's going to be gorgeous. I'm really, really excited about it all. Okay. In the meantime, I'm just going to put some things away that I am no longer using. Going to get this bowl gone. Going to get these chopsticks. Actually, no. This bowl I'm still going to use. The strainer I'm also still going to use, actually. These chopsticks can get put away, though. So, everybody, this is my really, really simple order of operations when it actually comes to making the jjigae itself. Everything gets boiled, everything just comes together really easily. We're going to add in some of the gochujang, we're going to add in some of the gochugaru, and we're going to add in my stock. Then I'm going to bring everything inside of the pot to a boil and let it cook for about 10 minutes or so. And that is just my onions and my kimchi, and what we're really doing is we're really flavoring our broth. After it's cooked for about 10 minutes or so, that's when I'm going to go in with my tofu. I'm going to slice the tofu, and I'm also going to add in my scallion whites. And then I'm going to let that cook for a little bit longer, and then afterwards, it just gets a little bit of sesame oil on top, and that is how simple it is. That is how easy the jjigae itself is, guys. Okay? It just takes about 20-30 minutes to just fully come together once we do get it going. So, my sweet potatoes, I am going to put them off to the side for them to just slowly cook along. Because they don't actually need to be right here directly. And everybody, in just a moment's time, I'm going to reveal to you my beautiful beef stock. Again, ideally, I would have let it go for at least a couple of hours inside of the pressure cooker to extract everything from it. I would have wanted to get it done in advance, but everybody, I failed you all today. I neglected to do so. I was not the best with my time management. I had an errand to run today, and I lost track of time, and I did not actually get to making the beef stock beforehand. So please, everybody, forgive me. I hope I've been forgiven. I hope that has been an appropriate apology. Okay, it is now time for me to show off my beef stock. It's hot. It's delicious. It smells nice and properly roasted, my friends. Let's go take a look. Oh, there she is. Again, if I let this go longer, it would have been nice and dark brown, but that's okay. Here's my beef stock. She's all ready for us, my friends. So here's what we're going to do. We gotta get these bones out of here, but we have all of that delicious, rich stock underneath. I don't actually think it's a particularly fatty stock. If it was a fatty stock, I would use my gravy separator. I have like a gravy tool that lets you sort of pour the liquid from the bottom and leave all of the fat on top. Actually, I think we might still do that. Okay, we're gonna do that only because I don't particularly want to get too much oil inside of my final product. A jjigae is not supposed to be particularly greasy, my friends. So, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just fishing out all of my bones. I'm fishing them out. I'm fishing them out. Getting them out of here. And we're just letting all of that delicious juice pour out. Pseudo Natural, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay. Come on, my friend. We'll just let that go for a second. We don't really want to press it or anything, because in that case we might accidentally just sort of press the onions in there, and that doesn't actually get all that pleasant. If you ask me, just kind of ends up making the stock cloudy. So we just really want it to use its own natural weight without additional pressure. So let me just get all those big bones out. Let me get all those big chunks out. This was just a really, really simple stock. Not even salted, just so that it is as bland as possible. It is indeed Sunday already. Welcome on in. Lovely to have you. Okay, let that go for just a second. The sweet potato stew, guys, let me tell you, it looks gorgeous. It's beginning to thicken up really, really nicely. It's beginning to get nice and syrupy, even without the addition of extra sugar or anything. I'm going to give that a taste, even if you guys can't tell what it looks like right now, while I wait for my extra stock to just drip off. That's tasty. That's good. That sweet potato stew, guys, excellent. Awesome. Okay, you've got to go, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so that's just about done. That's sort of the first part of the straining process. Where is my big bowl? I had a big bowl. I've already put it away, it seems. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get one of my favorite kitchen tools. We're going to get my fat separator. We're going to ladle in some of the stock into it, and then just simply push it through my fat separator. Because again, I really, really want to control the amount of fat inside of the final product. Instead of waiting for the stock to cool down, for the fat to solidify on top, which takes a super, super long time, guys, let me tell you, this tool goes a really long way. So roughly, we're going to need just about 2 cups in total. And I'm just going to ladle it in. It's nice and rich and decadent, let me tell you. How much do we have in here so far? That's about 1.5 cups worth. Again, we can always adjust it as needed later on. No harm, no foul. Ladling it in. And how much do we have in here so far? That's just about 2 cups worth. Maybe a little bit more than that, honestly, for this amount of jjigae that we are preparing. Okay, we're going to let it go for just a second. We're waiting for all the suspended fat in there. We just agitated it. We've mixed the fat in with the stock. We're giving it a second, and we're waiting for all the fat to float on top. And then, my friends, we're just simply abusing the physics of it all. We're abusing the physics of it all, and then we're going to just simply pull all the liquid from the bottom while keeping the fat that we do not want on top. Really, really simple and really easy. So now, we've given it a moment. We've given it a moment to chill out. In it goes. I know it looks a little bit silly, guys. Just be mature about this. Trust the process. Ooh, why is it so tough today? And stop. Everybody, we've gotten some clean, rich beef stock without all of the fat that we do not want. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of fat in beef stock, but we definitely don't want that in our jjigae today. How does it work? Really simple. There's like a little nozzle on the bottom. It's like a silicone nozzle, and it's clamped shut. When you press the trigger, it opens up the nozzle, it opens up the silicone nozzle, and it allows everything to freely pour throughout it, okay? So, I got a lot of stuff going on. All of my space on the stove is currently being occupied, so I have got to make room in just a second. My sweet potato stew is just almost done. Everybody, please give me a moment to just get my kitchen in order. I have this bowl, I have my strainer, I have my pressure cooker pot. All of that stuff has got to go. So, let me just find a nice suitable place for each and every single one of these items. This I'm going to simply return to my Instant Pot for safekeeping for now. Make a little bit of space. Let's get all of this trash, this hot bones, this hot onion. We do not want it right now. I could probably just keep it in the oven, but I think I'll forget about it, and then we're just gonna let all that cool down. Okay, it is time for us, finally, to make the jjigae. If everybody is watching, I want to hear a nice, resounding yes, chef, please, and thank you. Is everybody ready for the making of the jjigae? Okay. Oh, my sweet potatoes, though. Those are looking good. I just want to see how soft they are really quickly before we begin. So maybe me asking for you all to have attention was a little bit preemptive, but let me taste it. I think the sweet potato is a little bit too firm still. That's nice and sweet. That is truthfully really delicious, but needs a little bit more time. Okay, to the jjigae we go. Here we go, guys. Super simple. We got this bad boy. What do we have in here? This is kimchi. This is kimchi juice. We have onions and we have garlic, all of it inside. And I'm just gonna be simply mixing it through. Okay, it is thick, it is rich, and above all else, guys, it is delicious. And this is all still completely and totally raw. Now, how do we take it from the raw state into the cooked state? Well, let's find out now. We're going to need to add as much gochujang and as much gochugaru as you desire. For these proportions, I am following the Mangchi proportions, which is going to be roughly 1 tablespoon of gochujang, which is the Korean red pepper paste, and about 2 teaspoons of gochugaru. But everybody, you're welcome to add as much of these components as you see fit. There is no such thing as Korean food without gochujang. This is the heart and soul of Korean food. This is one of those ingredients that is quite frankly not interchangeable. If you want to make Korean food, you have to have the real deal gochujang, okay? So here we go. A nice big heaping tablespoon of this stuff. All of that's gonna go inside. Probably just use my finger, honestly, even though if it might make a mistake later on, then so be it. Please don't get under my fingernail. It is thick, it is sticky. There is no way around that, guys. Get it inside, get inside. Mine is not the freshest gochujang, so it's a little bit darker in color. It's a little bit oxidized, so be it. That's totally okay. Get that inside, wonderful. Now, probably gotta thoroughly wash my hands. And guys, please remind me to not touch my eyeball today, because I can and will forget. Please, 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 don't let me forget. Okay, gochujang officially inside. Next, we're going to do 2 teaspoons of gochugaru. Gochugaru, once again, the Korean red pepper flake. You might be asking me, why are we adding both? Well, guys, let me tell you, they're two completely different products. Gochujang is fermented. Gochugaru is just the flake itself. We're getting a fresh chili flavor from the flake. This is, I don't know, half a tablespoon or so. Get that inside. And everybody, let me tell you, don't even worry about mixing it in. Right now, we're gonna take it, we're going to bring it up to an aggressive boil. We're going to slap a lid onto it. And then we're going to boil it all away for about 10 minutes. For about 10 minutes or so. This stew takes no time at all, my friends. You want the kimchi to still have some bite. You want the onions to still have a little bit of bite. You don't want them to be cooked down forever and ever. The stock that we made is already incredibly flavorful. The kimchi itself is going to be really, really salty. So don't even really worry about the salinity of it all until just about the very end, okay? So now, while we have a moment of time, this is the time to just simply clean up. Get all the stuff that you don't need out of here. Put it away, put it out of sight and out of mind. When you cook at home, you absolutely must clean as you go. So just dumping out my trash bowl, dumping out this, dumping out that, just getting rid of all the different stuff that I have no more use for today. So what is even left for us to do? This is gonna go, after it boils, 10 to 15 minutes. After it boils for that amount of time, we add in the tofu and we're going to layer it in very, very gently. We're going to do that at the same time as the scallions. I don't add the scallions in the beginning of this process because if I added the scallions immediately, okay, what's going to happen is they're just going to overcook into mush. I want the scallions to have a little tiny bit of bite to them still. So thus, they get added later on. And now, that just gotta cook. So, what do we have going on with my sweet potato situation? Everybody, I believe it is time for us to inspect the sweet potatoes. Let's take a look at these bad boys. Ready? Let's go to my cutting board. There's not much to look at with the closed Dutch oven. Take a look. Remember how I told you there is no need for us to add additional starch. Look how thick the glaze for the sweet potatoes has become. Look how thick and rich and delicious it is, okay? That is precisely what we're looking for. So how did this happen? Little teeny tiny bits of sweet potatoes essentially flaked off of the edges and they broke up and they went ahead and dissolved. They broke up into these really, really fine pieces and they dissolved into the sauce. So how am I hoping that this tastes? I want this to be sweet. I want this to be salty. I want to be able to taste the soy sauce. I want to be able to taste the garlic and the ginger, but I don't want any of these components to necessarily overpower one or the other. I want the sweet potatoes to, of course, be nice and soft, but I don't want them to be complete mush at this stage. So let's give it a taste. With a spoon, it seems to easily break off, which is a really good sign that we're where we need to be at. Okay, give that a little taste. Guys, I'm telling you, this is so simple. This is so good. If the sweetness is not to your liking, you're welcome to add more. But for me, that is perfect without the need of any additional brown sugar or anything. Look how thick and delicious this glaze is. Okay, now one last component. We're adding two last components. We don't want to overdo it with the sesame oil. We want to add just a little bit of sesame oil to get everything nice and coated. So there we go. That's it. That in fact might have been way too much, but that's okay. And then a generous, generous amount of sesame seeds go in. And let's mix this all in. And we'll plate it up and we'll be done with it all. Probably too much sesame oil, honestly. I can already smell the woodiness. I can smell the nuttiness of it. Probably more sesame seeds, though. Again, I do want the sesame to be a very, very present component in this. I also don't want to mix this in too much. So I think I'll stop right at this stage, and then we'll go ahead and get this into a final serving dish and put it away once and for all. How's the salinity? Honestly, guys, the salinity is spot on. I did add way too much sesame oil, though. Can you cancel too much sesame oil with something else? Nope. That is why everybody tells you to undershoot it. There's nothing that you can really cancel it with. It's just kind of woody, and then the woodiness really, really lingers. There's not a whole lot that you can do about it. Okay, get into my serving dish, and then I'll put some more sesame seeds on top, mostly for presentation reasons. The sesame seeds themselves are just kind of there for a little bit of texture. They don't really contribute that much flavor. They're there for visual appeal. And I'm adding it to the serving dish because the lid is going to really help to keep it all nice and hot. So everybody, there it is. One of my banchan, all done. Last but not least, just a few sesame seeds right on top. And then I might take a picture with it as well. And there you go. That's it. That is one dish done. That is one dish completed. I'll take a quick little picture of it just like this. And then we'll see if I'm also able to do a more, well, I actually can't tell if this looks particularly visually appealing or anything. Let's see what kind of an angle I can get without this all kind of spilling over. And the answer is a pretty drastic angle. This is just for a potential thumbnail. It's sweet. It's a little bit nutty. It's a little bit woody. Too much sesame oil. It should have just been a little teeny tiny splash, but that's okay. I'm very satisfied with this dish. That is just good to go ahead and be put away. That is just fine as it is. Wonderful. So, to the jjigae we go. Guys, come take a look. We didn't really need to mix the gochujang in because it does naturally mix in the boiling process itself, right? We have it going, and it's also going to get a lot easier to mix in once it has been softened and heated up. So now we can really mix everything in. And everybody, this is already smelling truthfully wonderful. I wanted an aggressive amount of onion. I wanted an aggressive amount of kimchi in this. This is already shaping up to be a really, really beautiful jjigae. I want my onions to get mostly cooked, and I want most of the acidity and the raw flavor of the kimchi to be cooked out. So, back on the lid it goes. Aggressively boiling, not really simmering, about 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and do the rice in the meantime as well. Everybody, I need you all to listen. I need to hear a nice Daramgar chef because I'm going to be teaching you how to make perfect stovetop rice each and every single time without fail. Okay? Stovetop rice is something that, quite frankly, is difficult for a lot of home cooks. Stovetop rice is difficult for people who've been cooking rice their whole lives, that have been just simply using a rice cooker. And it simply comes from a fundamental lack of understanding and a lack of feel as to how a rice cooker, or rather, how does rice actually like to cook. So, come with me and I will teach you and I'll show you my ways. Everybody, over here, I have a certain volume of rice. First thing I want you to get out of the window here. We're not using proportions. I am not saying 1 cup of rice to a couple of cups of water. Let me tell you why that's nonsense. It's nonsense because the amount of water completely changes depending on the surface area of the cooking vessel. The first priority is to get the rice covered. The second priority is to give it a little bit of extra room to account for evaporation, which scales with surface area. So, any recipes that you see that say, oh, use a cup of this, use a cup of that for rice, they do not take into consideration the size of your vessel. So I'm going to teach you how to do it by feel. This is Haiga rice. Everything that I'm showing you is going to be more than applicable with white rice as well. Haiga rice is essentially the rice that is in between brown rice and white rice. It has the bran polished off, but it has the germ intact. And the reason why I like Haiga rice is just because it's a little bit more flavorful and it's just a little bit more nutritious than white rice. But again, everything I'm showing you is going to be more than interchangeable. This rice has already been thoroughly washed 7, 8, 9 times until the water ran clear. And then I strained it. If I let it soak in the water, that's totally fine and acceptable as a technique. However, it would not have actually translated very well to showing you how much water that you need. So, this has been washed, this has been thoroughly strained. Okay? If you were to leave it with the water, it would absorb it. The goal is this. I want to have the rice covered and then a few millimeters of water on top. The key to making perfect rice at home is 3 words. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Use the same bit of cookware until you understand how much water it's going to need. You are not going to get perfect rice on the first time. You're not going to get perfect rice on the second time. You are going to use the same vessel with a similar amount of rice each time until you build a feel, my friends. So I'm going to add just enough water that it is covered and then a few little millimeters on top extra. That is how it works for my saucepan. I'm going to bring it up to a simmer. Hold on. Oh, my jjigae is acting up. Hold on, my pot is hissing. Please excuse me. We're going to check on that in just a second. Cover it with water, bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, cook it for 20 minutes on the lowest possible heat. Rice, virtually, honestly, I don't think it can be overcooked. It can just only be over agitated. If you add too much water, it's going to get too mushy. So, just enough water for everything to be covered with a few extra millimeters on top. It's not going to be mushy. It's going to be perfectly cooked. Let me show you how much water this is. Okay, take a look. Oh, hold on. That's my pot. Take a look. There we go. A few extra millimeters on top, just like so. Bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, and then let it cook with the lid on for 20 minutes. Now, guys, let's welcome the beginnings of a really, really beautiful jjigae. We've had the lid on. It's been going. The vegetables have been releasing their water. Everything in there is getting so delicious. Everything in there is getting so spicy and flavorful as all of my ingredients are infusing. Do you guys understand how delicious this jjigae is going to be? Do you all understand how wonderful and simple and easy this is? I don't think you do. So, we're going to stir it around. We're going to stir it around. And then we're going to taste the broth. We're going to taste the liquid to see how it's going. I think I started my rice once again a little bit too late. I have a nasty habit of doing that each time. Give that a little taste. Spicy, acidic, flavorful. Super, super yummy. Ooh, that is quite spicy. I might want to dilute that with a little bit of extra beef stock, truthfully. But let me tell you something. The flavors, they're just going to keep on changing as it cooks. The first bit of acidity from the kimchi itself, it's going to die down a little bit with extended cooking. Okay? The spiciness as well, as it kind of infuses into all the different vegetables, it's also going to die down. You're just going to give that a little bit more time. So, bubbling away, boiling away, and you also want to give this thing time for the sweetness of those onions to come out, to just really, really properly balance everything else out. This Dutch oven is kind of huge. Might be way too big for this kind of an application, but that is okay, everybody. Okay, so back on the lid it goes, and we're just going to keep this cooking until I'm ready to add my tofu in. Again, the times for this kind of thing, they don't have to be too exact, I promise. It's a jjigae. So, let's go ahead and let's do the tofu. I'm using a medium firm block of tofu. There's so many different variations of kimchi, jjigae, excuse me, that all use different kinds of tofu. There is sundubu jjigae, okay, which uses a soft silken tofu. There's kinds that use extra firm. It is entirely and totally up to you. I want to make that clear. All I'm doing right now is I'm just simply draining out the excess water from the package. And now that that has been done, let's get my tofu out. Let's peel it open. Okay, I'm going to be doing half a block of tofu for today. I'm going to just simply be cutting this into 2 perfect rectangular prisms. Okay, and hopefully I will be able to gently lift one of my blocks up. Come on, my friend. It is just plain tofu, Shark Dog. Just plain, simple tofu. Nothing crazy about it. Now, it has not been cut all the way, it seems. It looks like it bled a little bit, right? That's because my knife wasn't actually fully clean. from cutting the kimchi, which actually isn't great for, you know, its longevity in the fridge. Not very good to cross-contaminate things like that. Okay. Can I please get my tofu out of the container? Let's find out. Okay, the answer is I did manage to do so. All right. Everybody, here's what I want. I want really, really, really pretty slices. This tofu is not going to get mixed in at all. It's just going to be really, really simple. It's just going to be sliced in, and it's going to be allowed to cook. It's delicate. Be delicate with it. Don't beat it up at this stage. So here's what we do. We take the tofu, and we're going to cut it in half lengthwise, like so. And then we're going to cut it in half, and then we cut it in half once more, and then once more. Let's get these beautiful slices. It'll naturally fan out. That is okay. That's what I'm looking for. There it goes. Okay, so we're gonna keep it like this. We're going to keep it in this shape, everybody. I'm just gently, gently, gently moving it over, just like so. I don't want this tofu to break apart. I want it to sort of keep its effect inside. Okay, my rice is boiling. Drop that heat. Let me put a lid on. 20 minutes. Okay, let's come back to the jjigae itself. Let's open this up. And let's taste my beautiful broth once more. Let's see how much it has changed in just this short amount of time. And everybody, let me tell you, in that short amount of time, the spiciness, it does die down. The acidity, the fermentedness of the kimchi dies down. And what you get instead is that really, really deep, sumptuous, lasting flavor. Okay? So, all that's gonna happen, we layer in the tofu, we add in the scallion whites, we finish it with the sesame oil. After that all cooks for about 10 minutes or so. Damn, I wanna go get some cheese now. Yeah, that's right, Shark Dog. Tofu and cheese, quite similar. Okay, the only thing I'm gonna do though, is I'm just going to make sure that my other block of tofu is doing okay. I'm gonna put some more cold water on top of it and get him back into the fridge. Just to safety. And then I'll use that sometime later this week. I hope. I have a tendency to not use up the other block of tofu that I end up buying. Whoop, I spilled some water right on the ground. So I'm gonna need to go ahead and clean that up eventually. Ugh. How much water did I spill? It's not that much, that's fine. Good evening, Vemic. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Bravo, chef, lead by example. Thank you, Yimpovi. I appreciate it. So, this guy, he's all ready for us. He is all ready for us to add the tofu inside. Let me just mix this around first. I'm mixing it around. I'm scraping off anything that could be stuck to the sides, anything that could be stuck to the bottom. And then I'm also just going to create essentially like a well. I'm creating a well for the tofu to go into so that it is fully immersed in the water. Is Le Creuset the best Dutch oven? That's a complicated question, Shark Dog, and I'll get to that in just a second. So, watch this. We're going in with my tofu. Please and thank you. Slide off my knife. There you go. That's what we want. We want it to cascade inside. We don't want to break it up. We don't want it to be mixed in. We just want to make sure that it is in a well of jjigae. Okay, guys? So, I'm going to just gently nudge it, gently move it around. Again, this is very Mangchi style. Everybody, if you ever want to make Korean food and you don't know where to start, Mangchi should always be your first place. Maybe not essentially where you'll always end up, But the first place is always Mangchi. Everybody learns Korean food from Mangchi. Okay? That is Maanggi. Just has been around in the YouTube game for quite some time. Last, we add in my scallions, my scallion whites, all the way around. And now, guys, this does not need to boil. This needs to simmer very, very gently. If it gets aggressively boiled, it's going to break up all the tofu. So, let's get that on. And guess what, guys? That just needs to go for about 10 minutes until the tofu is nice and cooked. And then we finish it all off with a little bit of sesame oil. And that means that the bulk of the cooking today has been completed. It's going, it's cooking, it's all coming along. Everybody, now would be an amazing time to ask me all cooking questions that you might have. Right now, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be doing some cleaning. When you cook at home, take advantage of your passive time. Take advantage of the time that you have available and open to you. Don't sit down. Don't break your momentum. Start putting things away yesterday, everybody. Okay? I don't exactly do too much again. Yeah, Trash Can Cat Mom, I think I did very well with my timing for everything today, didn't I? I managed to balance it all out. So right now, guys, I'm just getting my stuff put away. I'm getting my dirty bowls. I'm getting my dirty plates. This is a part of cooking. I'm running a cooking show completely from home. I don't necessarily have a stunt double of a finished product available to show you guys or anything. That would be cool. That would be crazy if I did. But we don't actually have that kind of budget yet. If you'd like to help me have that kind of budget, yeah. Oh, you meant sesame oil? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point too, Trash Can Cat Mom. We will be very, very careful to not indulge yourselves in the sesame oil this time around, as I managed to do just about every other time. Just cleaning off my station, guys. But yeah, I wanted to do a jjigae because, hey, it's cold outside, it's depressing outside, and there is sometimes nothing more comforting than a hot, rich, garlicky, fermented stew with big chunks of tofu. And there are so many different ways to do it. You can do it with an anchovy broth, as is very, very traditional. You would do dried anchovies, you would do a little bit of kelp. To some of you that might not necessarily sound appealing, but trust me, it is really, really lovely. You could just do a chicken stock. I've done a chicken stock from time to time, but I do feel like the chicken stock gets a little bit lost. And so I wanted to do the richer, roasted beef stock variant for today. Just something with a little bit more oomph, something with a little bit more presence, you know? I just gotta throw out all my beef bones, but they seem to be maybe too hot to discard still. Get my gravy separator put away, my fat separator. Get that boy gone. Guys, I have a really awful habit of starting my rice way too late, because my rice is going to need about 13 minutes, and, well, we'll see. We'll see. I might pull the trigger on it a little bit too early. The sweet potato was so good. It is such a shame how much sesame I ended up adding, guys. It really, really is a shame. I'm very not pleased with myself on that. There really is no way to undo it. Please learn from my mistakes. I lead by example. Well, I try to most of the time at least. A really unfortunate thing has happened, by the way. I think something malfunctioned or something glitched. No amount of breaker resets has seemed to actually fix it. But I think I might have fried one of my sockets in my wall. I heard like a popping sound when my toaster oven and my pressure cooker were inside, and now those sockets don't work anymore. So my pressure cooker has to be in the living room now, as I have no other place I can put it in the meantime, which does kind of suck, I have to say. I don't know what it is. Maybe just old wiring, because it should have been able to withstand the force of it. well, not the force fed, but it should have been able to withstand that kind of output, you know? Yeah, wonderful. Ooh, everybody, let's check on the jjigae. Let's see how she's doing. Again, we still want to give it some time. We want to give it enough time for the tofu to just soak up everything that we got going on in there. We want the tofu to get a little bit firmer. It's not going to change that much by appearance, but what we can do in the meantime is we can just almost baste it to just make sure that the tofu on top isn't naked or anything. Just baste it. Just baste it. Get that onion out of here. Keep the tofu pretty. Come on, buddy. Ah! She's gently simmering away. And we can just give that broth another taste. I'm telling you guys, it changes so much over the course of 20 or 30 minutes. That is good. That is so simple, but it's so good, guys. I checked the breaker, and it seems to have not fixed it. I tried to reset all the switches. It has not actually disappeared my problem or anything at this point. So, oh well. We will live somehow. We will live. Rice has about 11 more minutes on it. Oh well. I wish I started the rice sooner. That's really what we're waiting on at this point. And the only thing is, I think I might have added a little bit too much kimchi to the jjigae this time around, especially for how much water that we had, but it's okay. I don't really mind that much. Oh, I do love jjigae. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start washing some stuff off. I got my knives to clean. I still got my peeler to clean. Let me just get that stuff done now. Not worry about it later. I don't even have to show you guys how the pot really boils with anything at this point either. It was a beef stock, Tarina. We did a beef stock. We did a roasted beef stock. I didn't actually get a chance to show that on camera because the beef stock would have taken way too long. But in the future, I would love to just be able to do like a stunt double of beef stock. Have already prepared one and yet show you guys the method for it as well. It'll take a lot of prep to be able to do that though. I'm just cleaning off my tools. Welcome to the doggy washing stream. That's right, you. One day we'll manage your time so well that we'll never have to show this much stuff, huh? To show all the extra parts. But yeah, guys, take advantage of this time while you still got it. Take advantage of this time. Ask me anything that you got in mind. Tell me about your days. Tell me about something that you cooked recently. I'm also trying to simultaneously think about what we're doing for next week's show. I don't really have a very strong idea yet. Recently, I've been trying to bulk a little bit, and I have to say, guys, it has made food. I have a lot of more like sympathy now for like bodybuilders and stuff, for like people that have to like eat all the time. It makes you not really want to think about food, and it makes you not really want to eat anything with a lot of flavor in it, because it just makes you go like, ugh, you know. It just makes you, it just makes anything particularly strong in taste seem a little bit more like off-putting. It's tough. It's really difficult. I've never actually had to worry about that before. I got puffage in all 15 of my tortillas today. Aw, trash can cat mama, I am jealous. That's better than what I got. That's much better than my results previously. I have not been able to be that successful on them. Yard long beans? Oh, I do love yard long beans. They're very, very tasty. But I don't really know how to wash them properly. They seem like they take up a lot of space, don't they? Okay. Guys, this jjigae, I mean, she's almost there. She's basically already there. She's already cooked. That is how easy this is. You know, I know that we've been streaming for less than 2 hours today. Less than 2 hours, and I was really, really slowing down the process. And yet, it just all comes together. Let's see this bad boy. Look at that jjigae, my friends. Look at it go. Right? Not a whole lot that you can complain about. I've done so many jjigaes here before. They're so delicious each time. Taste that again. That's good. That's really good. You can't really complain about that. If you do, there's something wrong with you guys. Okay, I think we can actually do the final touches on it. I'm pretty sure that the tofu at this juncture is what it needs to be. I'll do my last baste. We can just plate it up. Get into a nice dish, get into a nice bowl. My Dutch oven is way too huge for this amount of food. Probably been way more efficient to do in a smaller pot, but I don't actually own a smaller pot or anything. Okay, let's kill the heat. I want to say that that's cooked. I want to say that that is more than cooked at this point. Everybody, last little bit. We finish it off with the tiniest, especially with how sesame oily my sweet potatoes are. We finish it off with the tiniest drizzle of sesame oil right on top. Okay, that's good. And we're done. There she is. Everybody, let's plate the jjigae itself. I want to make it pretty. I want to make it nice. Let's go ahead and show off my scallions. Oh, we still got a moment. So, some of them have indeed curled up the way that I wanted them to. You see these curls? You see these curls? That's the good stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Those curls, that's exactly what I was going for with my scallion garnish, I have to say. The big ones, they didn't really get to curl up as much, but giving it all enough time, they all seem to have gotten some of the effect. Okay, let's plate. I'm gonna go ahead and just get some sort of a nice serving vessel. The rice still has about 4 more minutes on it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my ladle, and here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to really, really gently, I'm not going to disrupt the tofu yet. We're going to scoop up a good chunk of that jjigae. Let's get some of that stew. Let's get all of those vegetables. Let's get all of those scallions. And then we'll grab 3 chunks of tofu. But we're gonna do it gently. We're going to do this, guys, so gently and so delicately. I would really like to be able to preserve the shape the best that I can. Come on, my friends. Up we go. Please don't drop. Okay. Well, that's okay. Not much I could have done about that. But because it cooked up, it got a lot more firm in that process. Okay. That is looking quite good. What's the minimum amount of time it can be simmering, Tarina? I want to say about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is like the really minimum amount of time. Okay. Over here we go. And we're just going to grab some chopsticks and garnish it with some of the scallions right on top. See if I can get any of those really pretty scallion curls to the best of my ability. There's not a lot of them that curled up that nicely. But I want to just get a nice big pile of it right into the middle. Because you can never have too much scallions when you're making Korean food, let me tell you. There you go. I enjoy watching cooking. Well, I'm glad about that. I enjoy having you here with me. Guess what? My jjigae is completed. My sweet potato stew is right over here. And now last but not least, we have to fluff up the rice. Here's my sweet potato stew. Again, nice and room temperature. It's thickened up accordingly. Let's go fluff my rice. Beef or tofu or both, it's in a beef stock, content deactivated. Welcome on in, it's lovely to have you. It is in a beef stock, but just tofu chunks, because I've realized to my own personal taste that I don't actually really love chunks of meat inside of a jjigae, but I just really love the flavor of a meat broth instead. Okay, we're just gonna go right back here, everybody. My rice is finished cooking, and let me show you what perfectly cooked rice, even without a rice cooker, looks like. No rice cooker, and yet the texture of it, granular and separated exactly the way that it needs to be. Fluffy, soft, perfectly cooked. No need to even soak it or do anything drastic like that, right? And now we're just fluffing it up and moving it around. Look at that rice. Look at that rice. Perfectly cooked each and every single time. You would use a non-stick pan if you don't want to develop too much of the crispy rice on the bottom. Look at the rice. No need for a rice cooker. You guys don't need to buy one. If you want to buy one, go ahead. I think they're amazing tools. But at the end of the day, you do not need one, because look at the quality of the rice that you can make at home is. Look how good it is. Perfect. No exploded granules. Separated. Except none of them are hard. None of them are undercooked or anything. That's exactly the way that rice should be. That's good. So we're gonna cover it. We're gonna just let it sit. We're gonna let it chill out for a second. Ideally, you'd want to give it a few more minutes just for the whole thing to just catch up. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get a nice little bowl, and we're going to fill it up with the rice. And then we're going to eat and enjoy. Is everybody excited? I'm excited. Now again, ideally, I just kind of let this sit for a little bit more, but honestly, we don't have that much time today because we are just about finished. That rice is perfect. And it's, again, intentionally not salted, so that the salt of the jjigae and the sweet potato stew can prevail. There we go. Files for later. Good luck, lady. Night, night. Thank you, contact deactivated. I appreciate it. It was lovely having you. And guys, if you see that this rice has like a slight beiginess to it, again, it's the Haigu rice. It's not pure white rice. It has the germ of it still intact, but the bran polished off. Okay, everybody, we are done. So, everybody, thank you all for being with me. Thank you all for enjoying the show. It is time for us to now do a recap of everything that we have here, of everything that we worked on together. We have 3 things that we made together. If you are here, I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you from each and every single one of you. Simple stuff, easy stuff, home cooking, delicious, cheap, and nutritious. This is the peak of Korean comfort food, guys. 3 things going on. Rice needs no introduction. Get it out of here. This is the start of the show. This is my kimchi jjigae, made with beef stock and medium firm tofu. We roasted beef bones, and we cooked it with a little bit of bay leaf, with a little bit of onion, pressure cooked and got a rich beef stock. Next, we chopped up onions. We chopped up a bunch of kimchi and its liquid. We added some garlic. Okay, we added some scallion whites. We let that all cook in the beef stock with, of course, gochujang and gochugaru. Let it all cook together, get it all nice and thick and rich. After it cooked in a little bit, we sliced in the tofu, finished it with sesame oil and some more scallions right on top. This is my sweet potato stew as a little banchan, as a little side dish. It's super simple, just like 5 components. Sweet potatoes, fried in a little bit of oil, with some soy sauce, no additional sugar, just garlic and ginger and water. And the starch of the sweet potato helped to thicken it all. It helped for the soy sauce to actually cling to everything else. Okay, and we finish the top of it with some sesame seeds. Really, really simple, very nice and sweet and lovely and fluffy. So before we even begin to have a taste, I want to see everybody, is it possible for me to get a thumbnail shot of my kimchi jjigae? Maybe if I slurp up some of the water. Oh, that's good. Is it actually at all possible to get a thumbnail shot of something that is inside of a bowl? And I don't actually think it is. Maybe if I drink some more of the liquid. That is incredible, by the way. Anything for the camera, anything for the content, okay? Beautiful. Well, that's just precariously close to pulling out now. I don't think that's actually done much. So, maybe not. Oh well, let me take a picture of my spread, and then we'll go in for a bite. And of course, everything must be eaten over some rice. Maybe if I take a selfie, that would be better. I think that'd be better. Okay. Guys, thank you for being here with me. Let's go ahead and have a bite of it all. I'm just gonna grab a spoon. I'm gonna grab some chopsticks. First, my little banchan, my little side dish of sweet potato. Super simple. Sweet, soy sauce, delicious. Suriname, no haircut, let me tell you. Just all natural. Really lovely. Way too much sesame oil is my only problem, but otherwise amazing. Now for the start of the show, of course, without a doubt, must be eaten with some rice. Let me show you guys how I like to do it. I don't know how Korean people do it. I am not Korean. This is how I do it. I grab a little spoonful of rice, and then I saturate it in the jjigae like this. And I make sure that it soaks it all up. And then every now and then, I'll grab some tofu. I'll grab some rice. Just like that. Come on, buddy, with me. Thank you. Delicious. It's acidic. It's salty. It's spicy. It's meaty. It's rich. It's everything that you could possibly want and more. Make jjigae. If there's anything I wanted you guys to come out with this, it is the inspiration to make jjigae. Please make jjigae. So, guys, that's going to be it for the show today. Thank you all for being here. Every single Sunday, 5 p.m. EST. This one was a little late at 5:15, but that's okay. Normally 5 p.m. at twitch.tv/DaramgarTV. It was lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. If you'd like to support the show, check out the Patreon, !Patreon. Please subscribe there. That's the best way to financially support me. That's the best way to get money directly to me. Otherwise, tip and donate, or subscriptions on Twitch are also really good. Join the Discord. Please go in there. I want to get it to be a community where we all talk about food. We talk about our love for food. If you have cooking questions, join the Discord and then ask me anything that you want in it. So, that was that. I'm going to see you all next week, 5 p.m. EST. Once again, it will be every Sunday usually. However, I will be posting an updated schedule. I'll be doing some Brawlhalla commentary this month. So my Sundays will be a little bit unavailable from time to time. So once again, just keep up with me in the Discord. Keep up with me on Blue Sky and on Twitter. If you aren't already, everybody, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night. Be well, be safe, and I will see you all next week.